Hi guys, it's Editing Giles here, and ahead of next week I've got a little advanced treat for you. I interviewed the author and film critic Andy Godfrey about Die Hard for our Christmas special. We also got to talking about his new book Faith on Film, Confessions of a Christian Film Critic, which I wrote an endorsement for. I kind of felt like this discussion deserved its own space, so I'm putting it out on its own for you to listen to, and to act as a little teaser for our next episode. Here's my talk with Andy. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name's Andy Godfrey. I am an evangelist with an organisation called Outreach UK. I've been in full-time Christian work for 40 years. I'm also the film reviewer for Pure 247 Radio, as well as Sorted, the magazine for men, Christian magazine for men. And I'm the author of a book called Confessions of a Christian Film Critic. And it's great to be here on this podcast.
Andy, it is so lovely to have you back on the show again. I have done 70 odd episodes finding faith parallels in mainstream films, and somebody beat me to the punch when it came to writing a book on this topic. So, would you like to tell us about your book that you've just released?
You're very kind. Yes, I've written a book. It's called Faith on Film, Confessions of a Christian Film Critic, and it's a look at life and faith through the lens of the movies. And we were very blessed because we got the film critic, who I know is a friend of mine, Mark Kermode, who's perhaps the nation's most famous film critic, to give us an endorsement for the cover. And Mark says, a film fan's enthusiastic search for the meaning of life in movies. So this is a book about different genres of movies, including Christmas movies, sci-fi, horror, Disney, Hitchcock, Bond, Indiana Jones, Bible, faith-based films, and so on. What do those, are there parallels that we can draw? Can we use movies as modern day parables to explain the Christian faith? That's basically the idea of this book. Yeah.
And it seems almost a bit like an autobiography as well, in parts, because it talks so much about the impact that films have had on your young life and how it's impacted you going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I begin by telling the story of the first film I ever saw at the cinema, which was The Wizard of Oz, a reissue, very topical with Wicked being in cinemas at the moment. I went to see that film. I didn't have a particularly good childhood. I was an asthmatic. I actually nearly died twice, I'm told, as a 7-year-old. I went to see The Wizard of Oz as an 8-year-old. There's that wonderful moment everybody will remember where the house crashes in Oz and she opens the door and we go from sepia to colour. We go from Kansas to Oz. I can still remember, Giles, seeing that moment as an 8-year-old for the very first time and thinking, wow, wow. Cinema can do this. Cinema can take me to Oz.
Yeah.
And right at the end of the film, when she's back in Kansas, she says, some of it wasn't very nice, but most of it was beautiful. Some of cinema isn't very nice, but most of it is beautiful. And growing up, for me, with my asthma, with my problems at school, and I know people want to get the violin out, but that was my life. Going to the cinema was escape. Yeah. And to this day, I mean, I've been to the cinema twice this week. To this day, when the lights go down, that certificate comes up, I still get a shiver, regardless of what the film is. I adore going to the cinema. But I've learned to, but what I've done with the book is I've tried to say, well, I'm a film fan and I'm a Christian. It's okay to be both. It's absolutely fine to be both. You know, some people I was talking to my bosses today and he said, oh, my wife's surprised at some of the films you've seen, Andy, you know? Well, you can't talk about them if you haven't seen them.
Yeah, it's very difficult as well sometimes, because I think I did a great job in finding a gap in the market of like a Christian lens on sort of mainstream films, but also you do sometimes fall between two stools. You're a bit too secular for the Christian crowd and a bit too Christian for the secular crowd, and they don't really know what to do with you sometimes.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. But I mean, I mentioned Mark Kermode, who gave us an endorsement for the book. Talking to Mark is a big horror aficionado.
Yes,
Mark said to me a couple of years ago, Andy, why do Christians have problems with horror movies? Don't horror movies teach us that God always wins? And he pointed out to me, and I mentioned this in the book, and I check it out, The Exorcist, for example. was banned by the communists in Eastern Europe because it was too evangelistic. It was too evangelical, right? That film, The Exorcist, watch it. It says, there's a God, there's a devil. God beats the devil. The power of Christ compels.
Fantastic.
So it's taking films and just saying, where's the spin? Where's the positive spin? Where's the message? And not just enjoying them. I mean, I don't have to go and watch a film and get a message. I don't have to go and watch a film and get anything out of it. I mean, I went and watched Wicked the other day. Just thoroughly loved it. Loved it to bits. Just had a great time. Didn't think tuppence about has this got a message or whatever. It has actually. It's got some really striking, relevant messages in it. But just enjoy it. But on the other hand, there are some films you go and watch, you think, oh, I could use that when I'm preaching. I go out preaching a lot. If anyone wants to book me up for preaching, happy to come. So, that's what the book is about. The book is literally a look at life and faith through the lens. And my life has been movies. I mean, at 10 years old, I was being given for Christmas books on the directors of the day.
Oh, wow.
And devouring them. I was being given film guides. So for 50 odd years. And I started writing for Sorted magazine 6 years ago, film reviews. It's Steve Legg, the late great Steve Legg, who was my best buddy. And Steve, I miss him every single day. But Steve made my dreams come true because I now get to go to press screenings, and we've actually been quoted on 13 movie posters.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
So that's what the book is all about, Confessions of a Christian Film Critic. And people say, what are you confessing? I'm just simply confessing that I'm a Christian, but I love going to the movies. I have a great time.
Amen. Well, let's leave that there. Andy, thank you so much for coming back on the show. You are welcome anytime you want.
Well, just give us a shout, Giles, and I'll be there.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
God in Film is hosted and created by Giles Goff.
That's me.
Mixing and editing by Giles. Our logo was designed by
Julie Walsh.
And our theme tune was composed by
Rick Lee.
Please rate and review.
Please give us 5 stars because that's a nice thing to do.